spirit of the old Land Rover Defender returns in this car, the Ineos Grenadier. Refreshingly, it's very much an old school SUV prioritising trails over tarmac. If those are your priorities too, you'll probably love it. There was nothing quite like the old original Land Rover Defender, but there is now, in the form of this car, the Ineos Grenadier. In the metal, you might mistake it for that old Land Rover, discontinued in 2016. But it is very much its own car, brainchild of Lancastrian chemicals billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who thought that there was a niche in the market for a big SUV that put off-roading first and tarmac transport second. Contrary to visual expectations, there's been no help from Jaguar Land Rover in creating the finished product, quite the opposite. So Ratcliffe and his team had to put together the various elements of design, engineering and production like a complex jigsaw. 4x4 system from Austrian specialist Magna, the axles from Carraro of Italy and Gestamp of Germany for the chassis frame. The engines and transmission are borrowed from BMW. And it's all screwed together in the old Daimler factory in Hambach, eastern France, which used to produce the little smart cars. Only the name draws on any vestige of Britishness, the Grenadier being a Ratcliffe-owned Belgravia pub. Want to find out more? Then you'll need the usual comprehensive car and driving road test. So what's it like? Well, you sit high and commandingly with a great view out over the vast square bonnet. So this is what SUVs used to be like. Does it drive the way those SUVs used to? Let's find out. There are two engine choices, both 3-litre straight 6-cylinder units sourced from BMW. So both come mated to the Bavarian maker's usual transmission choice for these power plants. That's an 8-speed ZF Auto gearbox. You choose between the twin-turbo 245 brake horsepower diesel or the single-turbo 281 brake horsepower petrol model that we're trying here that improves the rather irrelevant 0 to 62 mile/hour sprint time by 1.3 seconds to 8.6 seconds, en route to a top speed, which you'd never really want to approach, of 99 miles an hour. The performance stats that matter here, of course, are quite different ones. Ground clearance of 264 millimeters, a wading depth of 800 millimeters, an approach angle of 35.5 degrees, a breakover angle of 28.2 degrees, and a departure angle of 36.1 degrees. Towing capacity is up to 3.5 tons, and the vehicle can winch up to 5.5 tons. You might get near some of these stats with a properly kitted out new Land Rover Defender or non-AMG Mercedes G-Class, but you might also end up damaging the vehicle quite badly trying. The engineering here is pretty familiar stuff for old school off-roaders. Ladder frame chassis, a permanent four-wheel drive, and solid axles developed by tractor axle specialist Carraro. Now there's also a locking centre differential and a 2-speed transfer case accessed by this small separate gear stick that gives a set of crawler gears for really gnarly tracks. Plus there's hill descent control, off-road and wading drive modes and vast wheel articulation. Surprisingly though, specialist off-road tyres and locking front and rear differentials cost extra. Your main area for managing this Grenadier's off-piste setup is the off-road section of this centre screen, which has 5 menus. Attitude deals with pitch, roll, wheel angles, G-forces and altitude. Temperature gives those readings for the gearbox, the T-case and the tyres. There's a Pathfinder section for the trail-orientated Pathfinder off-road navigation system, which allows you to record the path that you're traversing on so that you can retrace your steps afterwards. Statistics deals with stats for latitude, longitude, travel time, travel distance and average speed, and electrical shows battery temperature, voltage and state of charge. What about this Grenadier's behaviour on a paved surface? Well, you won't be expecting too much from the tarmac driving experience, and you shouldn't. But it's okay, as long as you accept what you're getting here from a car that's got its off-road priorities right. If you really must use your Grenadier for the school run, this much more refined petrol version's a better bet. Land Rover refused Ineos permission to reproduce the design of the old Defender, but almost in defiance, there are an awful lot of visual cues to that old SUV here. Clamshell bonnet, flat windscreen, spare wheel on the tailgate, chunky door handles, exposed panel bolts, tick, 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 tick. What's underneath the galvanised steel body will be familiar to lovers of old Landies too, the ladder-framed separate chassis. Here reinforced with flitch plates and side members up to 6 inches deep. Get up close and it's more obvious that the Grenadier has its own visual persona. And unlike the old or the new Defender, there won't be a shorter short wheelbase version. The belt line alongside the body side is functional with incorporated bump strips, and you can add the optional utility belt that's been fitted here for attaching a raft of aftermarket accessories. The roof bars and roof strips enable loads to be mounted and secured directly without a roof rack, and the wheels are positioned at the corners of the chassis to minimise body overhang for improved approach and departure angles. This Trailmaster edition has 17-inch rims, the plusher Fieldmaster version has 18-inch alloys. Head on, it's an honest boxy design with flat front wings that'd be ideal for resting kit. Plus there are round LED high beam headlights with a pair of supplementary beams in the grille to aid nighttime off-road work, along with a properly tough lower skid plate and prominent towing eyes. Try out the 800mm wading depth and you'll need the raised air intake. Many owners will also add the optional integrated heavy-duty winch, which would give you a lot of extra peace of mind were you to be trying out particularly challenging off-road trails on your own. It offers up to 5.5 tonnes of winching power for recovering yourself or others. Here at the rear, there's a tailgate-mounted spare wheel in the style of Landies past, but these round tail lights remind you that this isn't really a Defender. That spare wheel positioning is interesting. Ineos has flipped it round so that it's facing what would normally be the wrong way and allows what would otherwise be dead space inside the wheel hub to be used as a useful storage area. This Trailmaster version gets this fixed access ladder on the smaller of the two opening doors, which can take up to 150 kilograms of weight. Right, let's see what it's like inside. You have to climb up into the cab, but low profile seat cushions make that easier. It's easy to hit your head on the way in though. Once you get comfortable and look around, you'll find that it's not much like any sort of Defender, old or new, and it's not much like any modern large SUV you could think of either. In contrast to the current cabin trend of decluttered cockpits, Ineos has gone the other way and littered this interior with more knobs and buttons than you could shake a stick at, all of which can apparently be splashed with mud and water without damage. Now, you'll really need to spend some time with the manual to find out what everything does. There's no conventional instrument binnacle, just this small panel of warning lights. Instead, your drive instruments, that's speed, gear selection, revs and so on, feature Tesla-like on the right-hand side of this upper central screen. It's just another thing that you'll have to get used to. There's a digital speed readout with a red band beneath, above boxes for temperature, fuel and gear selection. Below that is an odometer readout on the right and a small customizable box on the left, which you configure with presses on the end of this left-hand indicator stalk. There are 6 options: remaining range, driven time, current economy, average speed, average economy, and driven distance. Ineos says this upper 12.3-inch screen was designed specifically for the Grenadier, but the truth is that it's merely a reskinned BMW iDrive monitor. Still, here this display can show an impressive array of features: your current bearing and coordinates, steering angle and vehicle altitude, plus as usual on the centre screen things like tyre pressures, media features, your phone book and of course maps. In this case, a trail-orientated Pathfinder off-road navigation system. Thankfully, Ineos has also brought across a reskinned version of the lower rotary capstan from the BMW iDrive system to make access to all these features easier. Or you can find what you want via steering wheel buttons if you don't want to stab away at the screen. Below this central air vent strip with its integrated compass, the everyday controls sit on this slab-sided centre stack. It's all quite aircraft cockpit-like, which will probably appeal to the kind of person attracted by a Grenadier. It's weird to find a conventional manual handbrake on a big, expensive SUV these days, but it suits the kind of car this is. The old BMW Auto gear stick that resides right next to it doesn't. A pity that Ineos couldn't have taken the trouble to redesign it. They did, after all, have to create a lever for the low-range transfer case that sits right next to it. Even more buttons reside on this overhead control panel built into the roof, another aircraft-style feature of this design. Now this houses all the off-road switchgear and functions such as the off-road and wading modes, plus the downhill assist system switch and the axle differential lock options, should your Grenadier be fitted with all of them. Plus, usually added to all of this switchgear are both standard and optional pre-wired auxiliary controls, which can be used for options or accessories such as winches or light bars. Like the centre stack, this panel features red port and green starboard lines, apparently a nod to Sir Ben Ainsley's Ineos-sponsored Britannia sailing team. Enough on buttons, what else? Well, we like the supportive standard 8-way manually adjustable Recaro front seat. We're rather less keen on the rather ugly design of this Grenadier branded 2-spoke wheel. Its main feature of note is this red button on the right-hand spoke. Ineos calls it a toot button, and pressing it emits a so-called friendly tone that's quieter than the regular horn. The idea is to more politely announce your Grenadier's presence to walkers or cyclists that you might come across while traversing the wilds. Optional on standard versions and this Trailmaster variant are these overhead safari windows, individual glass panels positioned above the front seat occupants that can be angled up for ventilation or removed completely and housed in dedicated storage bags. For all the claims of rugged simplicity when it comes to cabin design, it's hard not to be disappointed by all the robust wipe-clean plastics and vinyl surfaces that you get around this interior, given the amount of money the brand wants here. You can splash out on the extra cost black leather upholstery coverings we have in this case, but that does seem rather to defeat the point of this utilitarian design, which has a few early glitches that Ineos really needs to sort out. The wipers are poorly designed, leaving the top half of the screen dirty, and the rear view out is awful, so you'll really need the standard rear sensors. The frontward view is of course much better, aided by the commandingly high seating position, the square bonnet, and the removal of a traditional instrument cluster. What about practical cabin touches? Well, the glove box is disappointingly tiny, but you get big door bins and a decently sized lidded stowage area between the seats that can be locked and includes both USB-A and C ports along with a 12-volt front socket. There are twin cup holders, a very prominent grab handle ahead of the front passenger, one of no fewer than 6 around the cabin, and 2 fairly useless small rubber matted areas, one ahead of the gear stick, another on top of the dash. The doors take a bit of a slam to shut, just like an old Defender or a G-Wagon. Both those models are very cramped in the rear. Is that also the case here? Let's take a look. Well, it's actually not too bad back here. This bench is quite comfortable and has just enough space for a couple of 6-footers to sit behind front seat folk of equal height. You'd struggle to fit a third adult across this bench because of this prominent centre transmission tunnel. There are twin central vents, overhead reading lights and big door bins, but no seat back pockets and no central armrest, so no receptacle for beverages. Ineos includes a couple of USB ports back here, an A and a C, and the rear outer passenger positions feature Isofix, I-size child seat anchor points. Standard variants get an under-seat stowage compartment located beneath the rear bench, a dry and tough storage box that'd be ideal for stowing valuable items securely out of sight. But this feature is replaced by the auxiliary battery system in this Trailmaster version, or by the premium sound system subwoofer in Fieldmaster models. There's no opportunity to add third row seating. Right, let's finish with a look at luggage capacity. The 30/70 split rear door fitted to the commercial version and this station wagon model is supposed to make loading easy, but of course with this kind of format it'll be anything but easy trying to get anything in when you're backed up close to a wall or in a crowded multi-storey car park. Still, at least you shouldn't have to open this heavy 70 door too often. The smaller left-hand 30 door gives quick and easy access for smaller items. Now, we mentioned the optional spare wheel lockable storage box in the well of the spare wheel earlier, which is fitted here. It offers 20 litres of space and can take up to 15 kilograms. So you could fit in, say, a pair of mucky boots and a wet jacket. The doors pull right back, as you can see. They go to a maximum of 102 degrees to reveal a 1,255mm wide opening. Once everything's opened up, luggage capacity is rated at 1,152 litres with the rear seats in place. The cargo area is fitted with a stowage locker to keep luggage items out of sight, as well as numerous load space tie-down rings for securing luggage, 12 in the commercial version and 10 in the station wagon. Flush floor-mounted interior cargo rails, an adaptable cargo securing system, and a range of barriers and partitions to organise loads are available as part of a suite of additional cargo management options and accessories. You can add a 12-volt socket back here too, as features in this case. Now, we mentioned that you might want to hose your Grenadier out after particularly muddy excursions. Well, if most of the dirt is here at the back and you're wielding the hose, a tough barrier in the cargo bay prevents water from entering the cabin area. You can take really heavy stuff back here too, up to 689 kilograms in the diesel version. With the rear bench 60/40 split folded, there's 2,035 litres of space, which, if you're interested, is 79 litres more than a Defender 110. The Grenadier station wagon model that we're primarily looking at here was from launch offered in two versions, the Fieldmaster Edition and, as here, the Trailmaster Edition. Both were priced from launch and at the time of this test in early summer 2024 at £76,000. There's also a Quartermaster pickup variant priced from around £66,000. And for commercial users, Ineos also offers a van version, the Grenadier Commercial, which features a full-length flat floor with a floor-to-roof cargo barrier behind the two front seats and can carry a standard 1200mm by 800mm Euro pallet. As we filmed, prices for the Grenadier Commercial were pitched at about £52,000, excluding the reclaimable VAT. Sticking with the station wagon, this Trailmaster version is intended for serious off-roaders and comes with 17-inch steel wheels, a raised air intake, an access ladder, interior utility rails, an auxiliary battery 400-watt power takeoff, and a compass with altimeter. It also gets a rough pack, which gives you differential locks front and rear, and BF Goodrich all-terrain K 02 tyres. Luxury stuff includes a smooth pack, which gives you a rear view camera, front parking sensors, power heated mirrors, heated washer jets, ambient door lighting, auxiliary charge points, a lockable central stowage box and puddle lamps. The alternative Fieldmaster version many will prefer is a bit more luxury orientated, with 18-inch alloy wheels featuring locking wheel nuts, leather trim, a premium sound system, heated front seats and carpet floor mats. It also gets the contents of the Smooth Pack. All these features build on the spec you can expect to find in all Grenadier station wagons. Obviously, all the key mechanical stuff comes included, notably the permanent four-wheel drive system with its centre differential lock, though a rear diff lock is extra. You do get a 2-speed transfer case though for the ZF 8-speed auto transmission, plus the advanced Carraro beam front and rear axles, along with off-road and wading drive modes. LED auxiliary high beam headlights, a full-size spare wheel, a raised air intake, roof rails, front and rear skid plates and rear parking sensors also feature. Inside, all Grenadiers get Recaro front seats, an overhead control panel and Pathfinder off-road navigation. Across the range there are a number of key options. Here we've got the exterior utility belt, onto which you can attach accessories, up to 45 kilograms of them on this front door. We've also got the spare wheel lockage storage box, which makes good use of the hub space inside the tailgate mounted spare wheel. We've also got the individual overhead safari windows, removable glass panels that sit above the front seat occupants. And the 17-inch steel wheels normally fitted to this Trailmaster variant have been swapped for extra cost 17-inch alloy rims with locking nuts. Now, you're probably going to want the tow bar that we have fitted here, and this test vehicle has an integrated heavy-duty winch, though that'll set you back an extra £3,515. If we were to go further with extra cost spend, we'd want to look at the Rhino Rack roof rack, which has a static load of 420 kilograms and a dynamic load limit of 150 kilograms. Options for the inside include leather upholstery, heavy-duty seat covers and rubber floor mats. Bear in mind that it's highly likely that you'll be paying Ineos extra for your choice of paint colour. You won't be expecting a Grenadier to be particularly affordable to run. Even in diesel form, it isn't. The diesel is rated at up to 27.4 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, but you'll probably be averaging more like 20 miles to the gallon in real life. The petrol model is rated at up to 21.4 miles to the gallon, think more like 17 miles to the gallon in real world conditions. So thanks to the huge 90-litre fuel tank, even that petrol version should give you a drive range of over 350 miles. The CO2 returns are sobering, up to 299 grams per kilometre for the petrol and up to 268 grams per kilometre for the diesel. All of which means that at the time of this test, you're looking at VED road tax payments of £2,365 for the first year, then £520 for the next 5 years, then £165 per annum thereafter. We've come across online manuals that encourage owners to work on the car themselves, but we're not sure how this would fit with the brand's 5-year unlimited mileage warranty. The BMW engine and transmission packages are well proven and should prove to be reliable. And experts reckon that the robust suspension is less likely to fail than the more complex system of the current Defender, which has a monocoque construction, making its sills more vulnerable to really testing tracks. The Grenadier's ladder frame chassis gets full e-coat treatment, which includes cathodic dip coating and an electrochemical coating process, plus internal cavity wax application and an exterior powder coat. As a result, Ineos is confident enough to give it a class-leading 12-year anti-perforation warranty. If ever a car could get away with being a little rough around the edges, it's this one. buyers won't expect clinical perfection in terms of design and cabin fittings, and you don't get that with a Grenadier. What they will expect, and what you do get here, is simply astonishing off-road prowess. Whether a modern day or old Defender, Land Cruiser or non-AMG G-Class could beat or even match this Ineos off-piste is a matter of great debate. What's certain is that you'd feel more confident about attempting the worst terrain in a Grenadier, both in terms of getting through it and of getting through it without significant damage. Be that as it may, it is still a little disappointing given the amount of money behind this project and the amount customers are being asked to pay for it, that the end result isn't a little more polished. But Ineos has plenty of time to get the finer details right. What we have here and now is a great start and a great off-roading SUV.